Views expressed by Hoot and Holler storytellers do not reflect those of Blue Ridge PBS and may contain themes and language not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Blue Ridge PBS and ECHO present Hoot and Holler, a live storytelling event recorded at the Historic Grandin Theatre in Roanoke, Virginia.
Good evening. Lee, is that okay? Okay. Whenever my dad tells a tale, and you're wondering whether or not it's true, the only thing he'll say is, there's a little bit of truth in everything I tell you. My dad has friends with names like Dump, Big Jim, and Cat Shit. My favorite uncle was always my Uncle Blue. This is what people actually called them in public. I still don't know their real names. My mama was the family historian, and our summers were spent in graveyards and at family reunions. I have more cousins than I do socks. Virginia is my home, but my heart, it's in West Virginia. That's where my daddy met my mama and where he built our family cabin. My brother and I spent every summer crawling over rocks filled with moss in the Greenbrier River, swimming and counting the stars. As kids, we hated to go, but once we got there, we hated to leave even more. Daddy was always full of adventure, and he was really ornery. He still is. He taught us flat footing and folklore, what people and what creatures to avoid. Animals and babies, they see things that we lose the ability to do so as we get older. Have you guys ever seen the signs that say, watch for fallen rock when you're going on like real curvy roads? Okay. Well, my dad always told us that those signs were actually placed by the parents of a young Native American boy that went missing several years ago. And the little boy's name was Fallen Rock. So my brother and I thought for years that there was a little boy by that name missing in the woods. Now, that kept us from wandering too far off the paths because we didn't want to go missing. But imagine me at 10 years old asking my cousins, have they found Fallen Rock? His parents must be worried to death. Now, was this a life lesson from my father, or was he just making fools out of my brother and me for giggles? Maybe it was a little bit of both. And tonight, I'd really love to share something with y'all. Can y'all keep a secret? Okay, great. You gotta go. Okay. I'm gonna tell you all how my daddy found the West Virginia unicorn, the Gollywomper. One kiss on its mouth, and your wish will come true. We were raised that spirits and haunts were real, and they were always among us, so why not believe in this too? Now, there are a lot of West Virginia cryptids I'm sure you're familiar with. The Mothman of Point Pleasant, a big winged cryptid with big red glowing eyes, or the Flatwoods Monster of Braxton County, standing 10 feet tall, blood-red face with claw-like hands, or the Sheep Squatch from Boone. It's 3 times the size of a bear with white fur, and it smells like sulfur. Oh, but wait, the Gollywomper, it's real. It is. It moves very quiet through the brush and the briars. But if it's spooked, it'll holler like a bobcat. It had antlers like a deer. And this thing, it stood tall upright like a human. And it didn't have eyelids. It would just stare, actually just look through you. It knew if you were a liar, a cheater, or something far worse. I knew I'd much rather run into a ghost or a bear when I was growing up. Now, one weekend, my Uncle James happened to come by the cabin to drink a beer and visit with my dad while he was working on the cabin. They sat on the porch, they were just kind of shooting the breeze, and my uncle began bragging about some recent hunting trips that he had been on. Bless you. My dad decided it was time to fess up. James, I got something I need to show you. Can you keep a secret? At this point in the evening, both were a little snockered, and my Uncle James just kind of gave him a grin. When he saw my dad wasn't smiling back, it kind of shook him up. Dad went into the cabin, came back out with a pretty large box. He slowly reached inside of the box. He turned to my uncle and he said, I need you to know that if I show this to you, you won't tell a soul. I was laying some flooring down and I heard something out by the Johnny house. It sounded like a scream, but I didn't see anybody. I grabbed a block of wood and I started out towards the woods, and it got really quiet. And I saw something looking right back at me. All I could hear was the heart beating in my ears. Now, by this point, my macho gun-toting uncle was backing away from my daddy. My dad slowly reached into this box, and out popped 2 small antlers, misshapen, a little tuft of fur, and 2 black lidless eyes. Now, my brother and I, we heard different tales from aunts and uncles about just how my dad caught the Gollywomper, how he used a bow and arrow, how he used a trap, how he shot it right between the eyes. Daddy never bragged to us about how he killed it. We just knew that it wasn't a toy and that he considered it a treasure. Now, my brother and I, we weren't allowed to get it out of the box, touch it, show it off to friends. The Gollywomper, well, it was kind of our moral compass. Forget about Santa knowing when you're good or bad. This thing was at our house. It was sleeping in our parents' room. It was on a shelf in their bedroom. And I knew it would tell our parents if we were being bad kids. And as the years passed, the Gollywomper, it became part of our family. It was a guest of my parents at their yearly Christmas party of my dad's company for almost 30 years. That's my dad dressed as Santa Claus. He would dress as Santa and told people how they too could kiss the Gollywomper for good luck. They all would line up to take a picture and a smooch. He even got the vice president of the company to give it a kiss. At the end of the night, it would then return to its box to rest, silent, sacred, and always watching. I would be home babysitting all these cousins who were all on their very best behavior because they all knew that the Gollywomper was watching and listening to them too. Now, recently, I've learned the truth about the Gollywomper. My Uncle Mike happened to be at the Dewdrop Inn in Webster Springs, West Virginia. It's a one-room beer joint that allowed you to mud bog in the parking lot. You could extinguish your cigarettes out on the floor. And there was a weekly pool game where you could place bets, and sometimes the prize could be a jar of pickled pig's feet, or you could get a mess of ramps. Cash usually was not the prize at this beer joint. But this night it was different. Through the stale, smoke-filled room, he locked eyes with something. A head, small antlers, black, lidless eyes, and a goatee. It was the prize for that night's pool game. He didn't know what it was, but he had to have it. What he didn't spend on Old Milwaukee, he spent on every chance to win. It was coming home with him that night. Now, Uncle Mike, he took the Gollywomper home, still not quite sure what he had. His wife, she was mortified. This half sideshow, half fever dream, and told him to get rid of it immediately. Now, my dad, he was happier than hell to oblige. He saw the opportunity to give this poor animal some dignity in its last years. He became its rightful owner and gave the Gollywomper its name. Turns out, this mythical creature is in fact a taxidermy deer's ass. For decades, people from the area knew of this beast and its magical powers. Decades of photos taken, kisses given, family folklore. Superstition come down to this. People sharing memories of their first time kissing it, seeing it, and how they heard how my dad killed it. How their luck had changed by kissing it. My dad, who loves to tell stories and pull your leg, turned a deer's ass into a mythological creature. I've recently learned this family history, along with a lot of other things, as my daddy's health is failing. There's a lot more to this Gollywomper than just my childhood memories. My dad's imagination and his intention of keeping everyone he loves safe is what kept him and his siblings all alive as a child, and then again as a soldier when he was in Vietnam. He taught us lessons and encouraged us to dream, to be kind to animals and take care of things in nature. The Gollywomper, he lives with me now. And now y'all know the story. He recently presented it to me in the same box with a half bottle of whiskey. I hadn't seen it in years, and it really just took my breath away. All the memories of feeling safe and free, running barefoot in the mountains and creeks, whispering about ghosts over campfires at night, and giggling when you see your parents kiss. All of this wrapped up in a box is on my shelf. I'll have this in my heart forever. I'm so grateful I got to tell my son about it. My dad permitted me to share this story with Miss Lee, that's what he calls her, and with y'all tonight. So now you know the big secrets. He also wanted me to tell y'all that there's magic in the mountains, and when you go home tonight, please watch out for deer.